Good morning. It is 9 o'clock, and it's time to get a meeting started. We will start with prayer this morning. I will ask Abel Fernandez, a deacon of the St. Joseph Catholic Church, to come forward and lead us in prayer. If you are able, please stand. Good morning, sir.
Graciously, Father, we thank you and praise you, and we bless you and glorify your most holy name for your goodness, for your kindness, for your mercy, and for your love. And we pray, Heavenly Father, that you may lead and guide the City Council members and all that is about to happen today in all the activities or plans, whatever they may have, that you may lead them with your Holy Spirit in all things that are to be said and done. And we thank you and praise you and bless you for the children that we see here before you. For you have said, let the children come to me, and you continue to bless them always. We pray that you may continue to bless the City Council and all the activities that they plan every time that they meet for the common good of the city of San Angelo. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Graciously, Father, we ask your blessings upon all those who are here present. Bless them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. And now, Miss Aubriella Breffo, if you would come forward and let me assist you with the Pledge of Allegiance. You ready? Let's just get right here. We'll do the American first. You ready to go? Okay, let's go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's do the Texas. You ready? Say, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you so very much. Let's get a picture right here. Thank you so much. And that's the prettiest one that's ever helped me with the pledge, I believe. That was Aubriella Breffel. She's the granddaughter of Angie Point in our operations department. Thank y'all so very much. We have some proclamations now, and this first one I am very, very proud to be able to read. And Scott Ferris, get ready because I'm going to need you, buddy. On February the 5th, 2015, a group of San Angelo firefighters saved a life without ever strapping on a helmet, handling a hose, or encountering a single flame. Instead, the firefighters brought a man back to life through an impressive combination of medical skill, rapid responsiveness, and professional commitment. Ray Minix, the air traffic manager at San Angelo Regional Airport, suffered a heart attack while on work that morning. Fortunately, a co-worker one floor above heard him fall, found him unconscious, and rushed to summon firefighters in neighboring fire station number 8. The paramedics found Minix unconscious 6 flights up. Lauren Edwards administered chest compressions until Cody Braden connect him to an AED. The third defibrillation jump-started Minix's heart beating once more. Firefighters then gingerly carried Minix, strapped to a backboard, down the narrow stairwell, reassessing his condition on each landing. Miraculously, Minix seemed to be his old self within days and has since fully recovered. Though he could not be here today, saying he wanted to be more than anything, he sends his deepest appreciation and respect for the men of the San Angelo Fire Department who ensured his family still has a husband and a father. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, Mayor of the City of San Angelo, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby recognize and applaud Lieutenant Kyle Green, Cody Braden, Lauren Edwards, Shane Matthews, Lieutenant Corey Sanders, Blake Foster, Darren Hasty, Robert Turney, Chad Graves, and Matthew Saltman for their service and positive determination to make a difference in our community. Scott, come up and hand some video. Oh, wait just a minute, Scott. We have a video first. I got out of order here.
Ray Minix had flatlined. No pulse, no respiration. Ray Minix was a dead man. Today, Minix calls himself Blessed Upright, a living testament to the training, proficiency, and rapid response of the San Angelo Fire Department.
In my eyes, it was a miracle. Having the extra manpower was huge.
The 58-year-old air traffic manager had just fetched a cup of coffee from the break room at the San Angelo Regional Airport Tower on February 5th when he went into full cardiac arrest. A co-worker one flight up heard him collapse and rushed to help. Had Minix fallen a few flights farther down, or had he been in the tower alone, he wouldn't have been found until it was too late.
That day, all I remember is getting to work and starting up the stairs. Then next thing I knew, it was 2 days later, I was in a hospital.
Realizing Minix was in mortal danger, his colleague rushed back into the tower, sounded an alarm, and left an open mic, knowing firefighters at neighboring Station 8 would quickly respond to the emergency tones. Cody Braden and Lauren Edwards were at the end of their shift, but among the first paramedics to respond. After rushing up 6 flights of stairs while loaded down with gear, firefighters pulled Minix from the narrow stairwell into the break room. Edwards administered chest compressions, while Braden readied the automatic electrical defibrillator, or AED. Not until the third defibrillation was Minix shocked back to life. As he began drawing breath again, SAFD personnel immediately turned their attention to getting an unconscious 220-pound man down a cramped stairwell while strapped to a backboard. The extra manpower from having 2 shifts of firefighters at the scene proved invaluable, as the patient was gingerly lowered down 6 flights of stairs, his condition reassessed on each landing. After an eternity that Edwards estimated at 10 minutes, Minix was loaded into an ambulance and sped to a hospital. A few days later, Braden visited and was amazed by what he saw.
He was already talking like you and me again. It was amazing. Looked just like his normal self. So to go from complete cardiac arrest to back talking and being like you and me here, it was something amazing to see. I've only seen it, once or twice out of my 18 years here, so it was really impressive.
Today, Minix is rehabilitating, slowly testing his heart.
I'm pretty fortunate. That I got to work when I did, because usually I'm the first one and only one there most of the times. But Pat beat me to work, so he heard me fall. So I was lucky in that sense. And then being there in the airport where you have firefighters and EMTs, they got there pretty quick.
The men of Station 8 are still marveling at the miracle of bringing Minix back to life. For Edwards, the experience was doubly personal. He knows Minix well from his time at the airport.
And I can relate to it because the guys same thing happened to my mom, and the guys got her back too, and she's with us today because they did the same thing we did.
The firefighting is what you kind of get that adrenaline rush on, but then you make runs like this and help people out in a way such as this, and it's just, words can't describe it. It's really unreal.
I think most of us sign up for this job to help people, and I know that's one of the main reasons I wanted to do it, and that's a pretty good day.
For SATV, I'm Anthony Wilson.
Very good. And since he's not here, I'm going to present this to you. Thank you, man. And you, sir. Scott, come up and do some. And we want to don't run off. We want some pictures before you get away.
And you can stay up here if you want. You're more welcome to stay up here with us. Man, Ray, he's worked with us for years. He's an air traffic controller out at the airport, and he's done such a great job with us out at the airport, and he's friend, he's family, and it was a very touching moment, as you can see, for our guys. I want to welcome Miss Beauty and Devereaux, Ray's wife and son. Ray's out traveling the world visiting grandbabies and stuff, so he's doing good. What we have today is we have a citation award, or a unit citation for each one of the guys that was on that run, and we also have a plaque that they're going to hang up for each one of those units that was in their station. That way we can start a new VAT at the fire department for recognition stuff. All right? If you guys would line up on the wall over here, and as I call your name, you can come around. We're going to have Kyle Green first, driver Lauren Edwards, driver Cody Braden. McShane Matthews can't be with us today. Lieutenant Corey Sanders, driver Robert Turney, driver Darren Hasty is not with us also today. Firefighter Michael Foster. We have driver Matthew Sothman, was on Medic 7, and firefighter Chad Greaves. And the guy that's not here today, that's the true hero, and every one of these guys will tell you the true hero in this story was Pat Agan, and he could not be with us today. But had he not made that call, this wouldn't have happened. Okay? Station 8A, front and center, please. Kyle Green, Lauren Edwards, Cody Braden, McShane Matthews. Kyle Green's retired recently, so he came back to enjoy this. We thank you guys. Thank you, sir. This is your station. Station 8C, we have Corey Sanders. Robert Turney is not with us today. Darren Hasty is not with us today. And Michael Foster's. Station 8C. Next we have driver Matthew Sothman and Chad Greaves on Medic 7. It's a medic crew that took Mr. Minix in.
Yes, sir.
Just to read what it says on these unit citations. The unit citation says, for the efforts and teamwork on February the 5th, 2015, in saving the life of an individual whom had succumbed to a heart attack and was clinically dead. The individual was located on the 4th floor landing at Mathis Field Control Tower in a very tight stairwell. The collaboration efforts of the firefighters and paramedics of Station 8A, Station 8C, and Medic 7C resulted in the individual being revived, moved to an ambulance, transported to a hospital, and after several days in intensive care, he was released from the hospital, resuming a full and normal lifestyle. I want to thank you guys again.
Where you want, Brian?
Right there. Just
Okay, come in. Scoot in as much as you can. That's all right, they follow their time. Thank you all so much.
Beauty, beauty.
Proud of our San Angelo firefighters. Thank you, gentlemen. We now have another proclamation. This is for Mark Clifton. Come forward, Mark Clifton. Mark Clifton both celebrated and ended 20 years of faithful service to the city of San Angelo. Good morning. Thanks, sir. With his retirement on July 31st, 2015, Mr. Clifton joined the city on July 24, 1995 as a heavy equipment operator at San Angelo Regional Airport, a post he held for 10 years. In August 2005, he transferred to the Traffic Operations Division, where he served as a traffic control maintenance worker and a traffic signs and marking supervisor. As a maintenance worker, his duties included making, repairing, and replacing street signs, installing pavement buttons and reflectors, painting pavement markers, conducting traffic counts, and installing and maintaining signal equipment. As a supervisor, he led work crews that conducted much of that work. Traffic Operations Superintendent Ryan Ward lamented his division in losing Mr. Clifton, a great team member who was knowledgeable, dedicated, good-humored, and focused on citizen needs. Perhaps Mr. Clinton's most notable work trait is his unwavering willingness to help his colleagues and lead by example, is the statement that Mr. Ward said. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, Mayor of the great city of San Angelo, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby recognize and applaud Mark Clifton for his service, dedication, and positive determination to make a difference in our community. Thank you, sir.
I would like to just say a few quick things about Mark. I've been over there in the traffic operations group for about a year now, and in the short time that I was there, he was such a great asset, not just to the city but to the department. And he was really one of those type of people that, you know, whatever you ask, he was always out there doing it. He was a leader, somebody that we'll greatly miss, and I just wanted to thank him for his time with the city.
Thank you, sir.
And we have a nice picture. Let's get a picture. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Patsy Kellner, come forward, please. And you're going back to Washington State. It's on fire.
Not my area.
Okay. For more than 19 years, Patsy Kellner has, as its executive director, been the driving force between Habitat for Humanity of San Angelo. During that span, the nonprofit agency has built 75 homes for the working poor, making them first-time homeowners, and has rehabilitated another 12 homes. Additionally, Habitat and its volunteers have painted more than 500 homes through its Brush with Kindness program, which has partnered with the city of San Angelo during its annual neighborhood blitzes. Born and educated in Pennsylvania, at the age of 18, Patsy committed herself to help the working poor find suitable housing. 25 years later, she began her work with Habitat. Her service to the community hasn't been relegated only to responsibilities with Habitat for Humanity. Among Patsy's voluminous civic involvement is active participation and leadership in St. Paul Presbyterian Church, the Retired Senior Volunteer Program, DESC, the NAACP, the San Angelo Museum of Fine Arts, San Angelo State School, the Nature Center, Girl Scouts, and the American Heart Association. She even played Mother Earth for the San Angelo Friends of the Environment Assemblies for 21 years. Patsy will soon move to the great Northwest to seminary and begin a new career in children's ministry. It goes without saying that Patsy will be missed. It is fitting and necessary that we say thank you and Godspeed to her. The city of San Angelo commends Patsy Kellner for her selfless contributions to the community, in particular her tireless efforts to help hardworking families realizing the American dream of home ownership. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, the mayor of the great city of San Angelo, Texas, on behalf of the city council, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, August 18, 2015, as Patsy Kellner Day. Thank you, Mayor. Now you got to make a speech.
Okay.
Come on.
Well, I have to tell you, it's been my absolute pleasure to be here in San Angelo. I moved here in 1992 to be here 2 years. So after 23 years of living in this wonderful community and working with so many wonderful people, I have to tell you, I'm going to take the ideas and things that I found in San Angelo wherever I go. This community has 220 service agencies that survive or thrive in this community. That's because of networking. They compete wonderfully, but they network together to get the job done. This is a very unique situation we have here in San Angelo, and for that I was very grateful to be a part of it. I have to tell you though, Habitat's in great hands. We've been in a 3-year succession planning, and Judy Sykes will be your new executive director here. She's a former board president for Habitat. She's worked with other Habitats in other parts of the country. You're in great hands. Continue to support Habitat and its program here. It's an awesome program, and that's why I said I have had great experience. I look forward to being back with my family for a change and doing whatever and continuing the next area of my life. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
John Costello, Cindy Costello Hogan, are you here? come forward, please. Good morning. Good to have you here this morning. Good morning, man. Since 2007, Fat Boss's Pub has been located at 114 South Chadbourne in historic downtown San Angelo. At its beginning, the bar was the only one of its kind on Chadbourne Street, but John Costello took a risk at maintaining a nightlife business in an area that rarely saw the presence of people after the shops and boutiques closed. Over the past 8 years, its business has consistently experienced growth, and their success has helped inspire others to open various establishments downtown. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, Mayor of the City of San Angelo, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim August 27, 2015 as the Fat Boss's 8-year anniversary. Johnny, you want to come up here with me and get a picture? Sure. Johnny is the councilman that asked for this. I'd like for Johnny to be here with us. And there's your, and you get to make a speech now.
I'd like to thank everybody. On behalf of our employees, our future employees, our past employees that have helped us get where we're at. I've always believed in anything that I do in life that you're not where you're at without God and the people around you. And downtown is really, when I first came in there, I shouldn't say that, yeah, it was a risk, but I knew that the way this community was, I grew up here, that everywhere I went, I was tired of going to Dallas, Austin, everywhere, and everybody thriving. I said, why not go downtown? And I don't have nothing against the Loop. I mean, I own another business that I have plenty of friends that own business on the Loop, but I take pride in my downtown. I went to Edison Junior High, walked by that building 100 times. And I said, why not bring it back to downtown, whether it's restaurants, bars, shopping. We have to have pride in this town. That's the way I was raised, and I believe it wasn't really a chance. It was just a gift that God gave us, and we continue to try to make it the best for our patrons and the people downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. You gonna make a speech? Thank you all. Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye. Well, we're going to break for a little while. We've got a little different procedure today. We have a special meeting. It will be upstairs on the second floor. Then we are going to have a meeting with the Water Advisory Board and go over some of the reports that we've had on the water study that we have declared or issued, whatever. Anyway, we're going to get the results of a water story, of our water survey. So we will, at this time, what time is it, Brian?
Mayor, can
Yes.
we do the consent agenda? Because I think there are people in the audience that are here for consent. Can we do that first before we break?
It's up to the council. This thing is on for 9:15. It's the way it's on the agenda.
I would.
You fine with consent? John?
Is anybody going to pull anything off consent? I was.
There may be.
I was.
You all right?
One.
Y'all are all right with going to consent? Okay, we will do the consent. That is fine. We have a consensus of the council.
Are we going to hold public comment when we come back to to reconvene the meeting, or do you want to do that before consent?
I guess let's just go ahead and stay in order, and then when we get through with public comment and get through with consent, then we will move to the water.
Good.
Sorry, Mike, you're going to have to wait a little longer, buddy. Okay, let's go to public comment. Let me read the legalities. Issues or items that are not on the agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium, begin by stating their name, and limit remarks to less than 5 minutes. Council members may request that a discussed item be placed on a future agenda. The council takes public comment on all regular agenda items during discussion of those items. This is the time that we allow for public comment. And all you need to do is walk to the front, state your name, and you've got 5 minutes, whether it be pro or whether it be con. We take public comment at this time. So, if there is anyone that would like to address the council, if there are any issues that you want to speak about that are not on the agenda, then I would ask you to form a line at the front, come forward at this time. Yes, sir. State your name and you got 5, buddy.
My name is Bill Ware. I'm a resident of Single Member District 4, and I want to talk a little trash today.
Okay.
Several months ago, I believe it was February or March, a representative from a public service was here and gave a presentation. During the question and answer, a lady asked if her trash would be picked up in the alley as it was being done at that time. And he made the statement, if your trash is picked up in the alley now, it will be picked up in the alley in the future. Then come to the end of June, my new trash receptacles are delivered and they're in front of the house. I got out the little tag that was on the receptacle, and it talked about nothing but curbside pickup. So I called Republic Service and asked them, got a very unsatisfactory answer, called the city and didn't get much of an answer at all except to contact Republic. These trash receptacles, I don't view them as a beauty mark on our city. And after just a few short weeks, they don't smell too good. I put my trash in the trash bags and seal them up as best I can, but still, the smell is there. But the first week that they were picking up the new receptacles, I went out to watch this fancy new truck that was going to pick it up. Lo and behold, it's the same truck that picked up my trash the last time, only they've added a lift to the back. There were two employees who rode on the back of the truck. They got off, rolled the receptacles over, and this lift picked it up, dumped it. They put them back at the curb. Everything was fine. And I thought, well, that's just a temporary measure. Well, the next week, there's a brand new truck, but it's still not the one that Republic Service talked about using, and that was their excuse for not using the alleys, that this new truck picked them up from the side and took it up over the top of the truck to dump. Well, this new truck that came down my street had a large container on the front, down pretty much at ground level. The driver drove the truck up to the trash receptacles. The arms came out, picked it up. It never got more than 5 feet off the ground. This truck, too, was very similar to the ones that they've been picking up my trash for years with. And I don't see the necessity of having these trash cans out front when they're using the same width truck to go down. They could go down the alleys just as easy as they did before. And I would like to thank the council for allowing me to express my displeasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other public comment at this time? We'll go then to the council. And if you have anything you want to pull off the consent, this is the time. If you have any statements you need to make, I'll start with you, Elizabeth.
Mayor, I don't have anything to pull off the agenda, but like Mr. Ware, I've had a lot of calls in the last 2 weeks about trash service.
I don't think we can really talk about this. Well, I mean, if you want to put it on the agenda, but
I can bring it up in public comment. And one thing that came up was an issue about commercial service. And I've had a few constituents call and ask Republic about commercial recycling service, and they were told that that is not a service that they're providing. I believe it's in the contract, and Shane Kelton and I have spoken about it, and I think he and Ricky Dixon and Daniel are going to be meeting with Republic to get that straight, because there was, again, some public education that was done that for whatever reason has not yet been implemented, and I'm sure that Republic will make that right with the community, because that would be about a month's worth of commercial recycling that we're not benefiting of toward the total recycling tonnage that we're going to need.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Lucy?
No, sir.
Ms. Shirley?
I don't have anything to pull from the agenda. I do have one comment that I would like to make. I serve also in a capacity on the Contra Valley of Governments Board, Transit Board, and I've had the pleasure of working with Judge Amos, as the rest of us has. He's been there since the inception of COG, and he just recently retired. And he has been a pleasure to work with, a go-getter and for the community. And I would like to throw out there that possibly we could look at the transit depot, that area, the buildings, as maybe giving it a name of the Judge Amos Center is a possibility. But I also wanted to mention, with doing that, I believe we're a little past due on reassigning council members to various boards, and need to bring that up to get reassignments to the various committees. And that's all.
John?
Mayor, I don't have anything other than I did want to pull item E, and unless my two colleagues to my left are going to pull anything else.
I'd like to pull.
Oh, okay. So I was going to make a.
Pulling E?
I'm pulling E. And I'm glad Bob Salas is here, because I've had a couple of phone calls, that want just clarification on how that program works. And I just thought maybe he could give us a brief explanation of how it would be implemented. So that's all I needed on that item.
Marty?
I'd like to pull item J.
Rodney?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, I will entertain a motion then to approve.
Move to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item E and item J.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a motion from Charlotte? I have a second from Marty. Do I have any public comment on this consent agenda before we vote? Do I have any other council consideration? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on it. All right, we have taken care of the public comment. We have taken care of the consent agenda. At this time, I will call a recess of this meeting. We will go upstairs on the second floor. We will hold a special joint meeting with the Water Advisory Board. I suspect this is going to take an hour. Am I right, boss?
Should be about an hour.
About an hour?
Were we going to finish the consent, public, us pulling those items?
I thought we'd just take it all together when we come back. Is that all right? Just
Sorry,
take.
Shelley.
Does the council want to take these two consent agenda items
Let's
now?
go ahead and knock these two off.
Yeah, they're easy.
Mine is quick.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take them. Been outvoted again. Item E is consider adopting a resolution ratifying the agreement between the City of San Angelo and Atmos Energy for the execution of a low-income weatherization program for San Angelo citizens who are Atmos customers, and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute related documents. Mr. Salas, what are your questions, Mr.
Yes,
Silvers?
sir. Just give us a brief explanation on how this program works for the viewing public.
Sure. It's a program for any Atmos client that shows a need for either weatherization or assistance with water heaters and those kind of things. But they do have to be a Atmos active client and customer. We don't vet. Again, it's for need. It's not necessarily income driven.
And Bob, can you give us a number anybody can call if they have?
They can call 655-0824, and we'll be happy to help them any way we can.
That's all I needed. Thank you so much.
Okay.
You want to move to approve?
I'll move to approve that.
Somebody
item.
want a second?
Second.
Charlotte, got a second? Further discussion, council? You want to talk, Shelley? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one. J, consideration of amending PD 0215 Equateur NG 911 voice logging recording to DSS Corp. Corporation, Southfield, Minnesota, in the amount of $129,340 by adding authorization to prepay 4 additional years of support and maintenance at a discounted rate of $63,600. That is $15,900 times 4 years. Total cost of $192,940, and authorizing the city manager to execute the contract in substantially the attached form. Mr. Fond is here. Marty.
PD, the 0215, we approved that back in
meeting before last, I believe.
Yes, sir.
What exactly was that?
That is the exact same thing. Is the only thing that we neglected to add the 4 years of maintenance and support at a reduced cost. So I wanted to come back and be able to take advantage of that. That'll save the city around $11,000 by taking advantage of prepaying the support and maintenance for the additional 4 years.
Okay. All right.
Are you coming back again next meeting, Jeff?
Gosh, I hope not.
That was the only problem I had. It seems like we've dealt with this several times, and each one of them cost us money.
I know. I don't like
Does
that
this
part
bring
either.
the total to, for the communications, after you add 192,940, what was the amount?
The total amount is 192, whatever that number was.
That adds to the
Plus
6 million,
6.2 million.
6.2 million?
Typically, the recording system has been historically been bought as part of the radio system, and it is part of that system. It was not included in that 6.2 million, but I guess in essence it would add to that 6.2.
If you come back again, I'm going to vote against you.
He needs-
Anybody want to move to approve?
He needs maintenance, so let's go ahead and approve it. I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve.
Anybody want to second it?
Second.
Do I have a second from Rodney? Any further council discussion? Public comment on this item? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay, let's have the nays. And let's have the ayes. It does pass by a 5-2 vote.
Very much.
Thank you. I am now,
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I am now going, and I'm going to do it quickly before I'm overridden. I'm going to call us into a special joint meeting with the Water Advisory Board. It will take about an hour. It will take place on the second floor. This is not a closed meeting. Everyone is invited. It will take about an hour. And what time you have, Brian?
9:37.
9:37. We're going to be back. We'll try and be back within an hour. So this meeting has been formally closed, and we will reconvene after the water meeting. 11:10, and we are opening this meeting back up. Regular agenda, item 6, we will have item A under numeral 6, which is discussion and direction regarding Appendix A of the fee schedule, Section A8.007, water billing charges related to late charges on delinquent utility bills. I asked for this, and you have a presentation, Bill?
Mayor, I just have some slides that kind of show what the ordinance, the code of ordinance that authorizes the late fee after 28 days of $25. It's a flat
If you would
fee.
like to go ahead and set it up then, and then I will tell you what I would like for it to be.
Okay, sir.
And we'll make a decision one way or another.
Okay, sir. Well,
Sir?
We're missing, she's sleeping upstairs.
We do have a quorum, but we could wait on Elizabeth.
It's a late fee item, so we had that one right after that.
She was in the bath. She's okay.
Very hot weather we're having.
Where?
Well, I need some rain at my place. My okra is shoulder high, but it needs some rain.
What did the meteorologist tell me?
Looks like it's going to rain.
El Nino.
60% hold him to that. Where'd you go?
Did you see that?
Hmm?
60%
tomorrow? 60% tomorrow and Thursday.
60% what?
Rain?
Rain tomorrow
No.
and Thursday.
That means 40% chance that it's not going to.
Like, what is the Indian definition of a vegetarian? With her. What we lost? There's Bill. Let's go
She's in
ahead.
that third side meeting room.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead. We've got several of them that have to leave, and let's get this meeting on. Let's get it going. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Our current ordinance requires that for any utility bill that is not paid within 28 days, that there will be a late charge of $25 added to that account. And that is the current ordinance. And what I wanted to show you here is that in 2014, or last fiscal year, that generated about $1.4 million. We budget annually 1.5, and it historically has amounted to approximately that amount. Our year to date is currently at about $1.3 million. So my only concern here, or the issue here that I want to point out, is that if you did change that, as there's a couple of ideas that have been floated, is a 5% of the balance or 10%, that this is the amount that you would, based on our current delinquencies, what you would, the revenue that would be generated from that. And as we just got through talking upstairs about our rates, this is considered as part of our revenue. And so that amount of revenue that we would not receive would have to be made up so there would be a little bit additional added to the numbers that we were just recently talking about to make that up.
My problem with this, and we've dealt with this before, if you've got a customer that uses the minimum amount and they have a bill of $50, and they're a day late on their bill, and we hit them with a $25 penalty, their bill is $75. If you've got someone whose bill is $200, and they're a day late, you hit them with a $25 penalty. So their bill is $225. This is very, very punitive. And it is also it's very expensive, it's a very hurtful bill. And if you want to look at usury rates, it is way, way, way out of line. I don't have a problem with the penalty, and I think there ought to be a penalty for when people are late with their bills. I do not like a $25 payment because that hurts the very people that's having to struggle in the first place. Normally, if they had the money, they would pay it on the due date. So all we're doing is just adding, and adding to people that are already struggling. What I would like to see is a 10%. Put 10%. That way, if that $50 bill is late, it costs them $55. There's still a penalty. But that guy that's spending $200 or $300, then he has to pay according to the percentage. I don't like a punitive. I don't think a punitive charge is fair, and I think this is punitive. And I would like for it to be a percentage instead of a dollar amount. That's where I'm leaving. And we'll have council discussion. Start with Charlotte.
Well, I don't understand why the city should be any different than any other business out there or mortgage company that charges a late fee. I know the rental industry, the maximum allowed by law is $25 and $5 per day for up to 15 days if you're late. Now, that's the maximum allowed. The owner can set those lower if they like, or they can put them in the number of days, but they cannot exceed 15 days. Your credit cards, if you don't pay the balance, in full each month, that, charge is considerable. And the whole purpose is to pay on time. I know that when we went to the $25 fee, the monthly amount, and I had asked Michael if he could check it. I don't know that if Mary checked it, but it seemed like it was just over $8,000 customers a month were late for whatever reason.
It's 25%.
And I know from collecting rents, collecting monies, if a person has got that 25, it seems, even an insufficient check is what, 25 or 35 in some places at the bank, and then the institution charges an additional 25 or 35, which is the going rate. So why would the city want to be any more lax on a precious source that people have to have, is water?
Any other comments on this?
I don't know that I would say that the percentage approach is a bad one, because I think there are other utilities that use it. But from a collection standpoint, I don't want anyone else in town subsidizing the person not paying their bill for whatever reason and that late fee, then that would be reduced. So as long as we can collect the same amount of money so that we're not impacting the total revenue, I think that's fine. I think it's best just to leave it as it is. Because I don't.
Is that a motion?
No, ma'am. But it could be. But I don't know
Rodney?
how you would try to calculate a percentage and still have the same collection. I mean, I'm sure you could do it, but in the end, I think she's right. When this is the most, such a valuable commodity, I don't think that the rest of the community should be subsidizing those that seem to be unwilling to pay the late fee.
Rodney?
I'm totally in agreement with Liz and Charlotte on this. I don't see the general public who goes out of their way to pay their bill on time each month having to kick in money for someone that's not paying their bill on time each month. I prefer to just leave it as it is at this time.
What are you feeling, Marty?
Well, since we just saw the new rate study, I'd really think that the time to address it is when we get into the rate study. If we're going to change it from the way it is, we're going to have to make up over
Right.
$500,000. So
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
And there's $500,000.
Johnny?
My question, Bill, is I think you mentioned it was after. Now, is the late fee after 28 or 29 days, or is it 1 day? Or what is it?
After 28 days delinquency, in other words, after the 28th day, then that $25 fee is added to the bill.
So
So if you pay on the 28th day, you're fine. On the 29th day, you pay that late fee.
Okay. Mayor, I see it both ways. I see with those folks that struggle, I don't think we need to be subsidizing any user. But according to these figures, even the year-to-date, it's 1.2 million. Is that divided by $25? Is that what we're looking at?
That's correct. We have over 4,000 delinquent accounts a month.
My goodness.
4,000, not 8,000.
Well, it had
like
dropped after
25%.
that. I don't think the $25 was intended to be punitive. I think it was intended to be an incentive for people to pay, and it did have some positive effect.
It did.
Lisa, you're the last one.
Well, after hearing what we had just discussed and knowing that we're going to need this money, I'm with leaving it the way it is.
Well, I understand you speaking from a budget standpoint. And from a budget standpoint, this makes sense. I'm trying to look at it from a personal standpoint, from a people standpoint. I mean, the people, it belongs to the citizens of this city. They're the ones that pay for all of this. And I felt it was punitive, but I'm obviously the only one that feels it is. So
Mayor.
we're going to call this one at a halt.
Mayor, I think the idea of a number of months ago, or it's been brought up before, of maybe even charging a 10% fee to the bill. Did that not work? Was that not enough?
It's on there. It's not enough.
Okay, I'm sorry. I walked to the back to get a. And okay, there it is.
Possibly, if I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
possibly as Mr. Self stated, we're going to be making some decisions here and in the plan and to look at it, and it's very possible that we could put a minimum that there will be a $25 late fee as it is, and possibly be looking at a minimum of the bills that are below $50. Then that would reduce to a percentage. I don't know that we can do that, but it can be researched in the time frame that we're going to come back and look at the water rate structure. as a possible alternative.
I'd make a motion to that effect, that for the moment, we leave it as it is and let it be examined during the
Well, we don't
rate
need to
study.
make a motion, and we don't.
Okay.
That's fine, if we want to.
But just Mayor, just so the public understands that even though we feel for those folks that maybe are struggling, but this is a 28-day window. I mean, we're not just throwing late fees out there to everybody that comes to us. This is, I mean, they've got almost a month to come up with, a payment. So we're not, by no means do we want it to be punitive, but we're just, what do we do? I mean, we're struggling with water as it is.
Got to pay for the service.
Exactly. So
I'm whipped. Let's move on. Item number B is discussion and possible direction related to the new water connection process. Rodney, you brought this one up. Bill, keep your seat there, buddy. Rodney?
I just asked them to see if they could streamline this. We've had some problems, and I've had them address to me on as far as how, and this was primarily from military people moving to this area from out of state and having to have water connected on the weekends, and what they were being told is they have to be here in person. They have to present a Social Security card, which most utility, I don't know if most, but I know of other utility companies in other cities do not require that. But I would like to make it as easy as possible, and especially for our military folks that are coming in from, I had one coming from Alaska and one coming from Hawaii, and it was just a big deal for them.
I agree with Mr. Fleming. It's a problem. When you've got retirees, people's parents that are moving here, they're retiring from South Carolina or even Indiana, and they cannot get we're going to arrive on the weekend. Mm-hmm. They try to get their utilities. Their gas and their water, they can get it set up by providing a driver's license or a military ID or Social Security over the phone. But in the city of San Angelo, you have to appear in person between 8 and 12 or 1 to 5, Monday through Friday, and provide 2 forms of identification. It's almost like saying, we don't want you to move here.
If I may just speak to this for a minute, and then we can see what we might can do to streamline the process. We are required by a federal law called the Red Flags Rule that's for identity theft purposes. It's administered under the Federal Trade Commission to have people bring in person those pieces of identification. So we have to do that. We're certainly not the only utility that does that. In fact, every other utility is required to do the same thing. There are instances where we have military, for example, where they call, they can't come in, or people that are out of town, and we take the information over the phone. But we have to require them to come in within a certain amount of time once they are here to bring us that information. We have to have that information on file. Okay, so that we have to verify it, so we have no choice in doing that. So while
is our staff trained, though? I don't think they're trained on that.
Trained on
both of those people
what's
that I'm
wrong with
talking
having
about. Both those people that I'm talking about, neither one got their water on that weekend because they were saying that, and they didn't get it.
Well, one of those, Mr. Fleming, that you had talked to, I actually went and listened to the recording, and we explained that very clearly, in my opinion, to that individual, is send us the information. We provided an email address for them, we provided a fax number for them to send it, and we told them, if you send the information, we will set up the account, we'll turn the water on, but as soon as you're back in the United States, you need to come into the office to do that.
Right.
If we know that you're here and you don't come in, then we'll have to. We have to force them to come bring that information. But they were given every opportunity to submit that information. We spend a lot of time with our individuals. They understand that, and they work with everybody to try to lessen that burden as much as possible. But it is a requirement, and we have to see that information. Now, there are some software programs that are available. Others use that. Other utility companies use that. But you pay for that based on the number of calls that you get, and that estimate is about $22,000 to $30,000 a year for us to utilize that service. But that would be the only way for us to avoid or change the process that we currently have of having somebody come in. And again, we checked with every other utility just to make sure that we weren't missing something under this rule, and then every utility that we've talked to has that requirement that you come in to set up that service.
Could we
Provide
raise a fee on that to have them pay for that?
charge that fee back to the customer for doing that? I would think that we probably could.
It's like a convenience fee. I mean,
For the convenience, after-hour, weekend, absolutely. But I don't see a problem over the phone if you turn it on, but you let them know that you've got 10 days of service, 10 days after you get here, or we're going to turn it off.
And we do that.
But it makes it much easier for those that are out of state, out of town. I mean, I know I had a summer home over at Granbury. I did everything over the phone. Everything over the phone, but and it was connected, we got there, but once in town and Monday morning came, I had to be in their office to provide that actual verification.
Looks to me like training and communication would probably have solved the problem Rodney's talking about there.
I wouldn't mind talking about this program more often, and especially if we could do a convenience fee where, again, we're not subsidizing someone to have a convenience of doing it on the weekend. I'm not trying to make this a burden on everybody else. I'm just trying to make it easy on them. But a convenience fee, I wonder how many of those people we would get a year, though, in order to pay
That would
for
be my question.
Yeah.
I don't know that it could work itself out on $22,000 or even $30,000.
What's our Saturday usage? I mean, our Saturday people calling after hours, I guess.
I know there are some, Councilman, I don't know the exact number of the after-hours calls. I do know we do have them, people wanting to set up services. This program doesn't solve that because it's not an after-hours process. I mean, we still have to have somebody involved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to comment on this one before we move on?
There's no after-hours version, I don't guess.
I guess
for
not.
that software.
Public comment on this before we move on? Rodney, you as whipped as I am. Let's move on to item C. That's a second hearing and consider adopting an ordinance replacing Article 1104, solid waste of the Code of Ordinances in its entirety. And I believe we did the first reading on this last meeting, did we not, Shane?
Correct. And this, again, this second hearing, and did y'all want me to go through the presentation again?
Y'all want to do it again?
No.
It's a matter of just putting the trash cans up after you put them out.
Yes, sir, that's it. I mean, it's just, the changes for the citizens is just making sure the time in and time out, they can put them out the evening before, but they need to, by noon the day after collections, have them back up off the curb and back on their lots. Yes,
What
ma'am.
happens if they don't?
We will try to work with, it's, people, at this point, we're going to have to call in because we're busy still trying to go through the transition and all that stuff. And so, but if there are issues and citizens have an issue, they can call my office, get a hold of me or Jeremy, who's our solid waste administrator, and we will go out to the residents. We'll visit with the residents and let them know. If we continue to have people that just are repeat offenders and aren't doing it, then we do have the penalty provisions in there where we can give them a citation and send them to talk to the judge. So
I would really hope that you didn't go out and start citing people.
no, sir. We do not
That
want to.
would be the very worst
got a
thing.
year
Yes, no,
under our
and
belts.
that is not our intention. We don't want to do that. We want to educate and communicate is what our full intentions are.
Shane,
But this does give us some teeth.
For the viewing public, what is your office number?
My office number is 657-4206.
Thank you.
And your sale?
You have it, Mayor, I promise you.
I don't.
Someone want to move to approve this?
No, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted you to repeat the hours that or when you wanted them out and when you wanted them rolled back in. Tell me that.
You can place the carts out the evening before your collection day or by 7 a.m. the morning of your collection day. And then they need to be back up off the curb, up onto your property, hopefully somewhere, within reason by your house or your garage or somewhere like that, by noon the next day.
Next day, okay.
Okay.
Elizabeth?
everyone is aware that this is a new service, but in one of my neighborhoods, it's taking until after 6 p.m. for pickup. And I was standing by a can last Friday, and one of the Republic customer service people drove by, and I asked him what their goal was, by which time of the day to have all of the cans emptied. And at first he told me 6 p.m. because I think that day he was just trying to finish up by 6 p.m. But generally speaking, what have you talked to Republic about? What is their goal in a neighborhood to have both cans emptied and their equipment be off the streets?
I believe they're supposed to be off the streets by 6 p.m. because we have to coordinate 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. because we have to coordinate their pickup with the closing of the landfill. So that way they can collect whatever their last homes are for that day, and then they can deliver what they've collected to the landfill, or from a recycling standpoint to Butts Recycling.
It concerns me that we would have cans out the night before for a 6 p.m. pickup. I mean, I think this is something that we'll all kind of fine tune.
We can, and again, that's just it's a convenience for people that way. If they're, for whatever reason, they're getting up or they want to sleep late or whatever, if you want to take them out the night before, you can take them out the night before, just as long as they're there by 7 a.m. So when they start collection, that they're out. And two, as we progress and we move on, as Republic gets better with their routes, as the citizens get better with placement, because we are still having some issues with people still putting their cans side by side together. They're not, maybe not, and so the truck drivers are having to get out and move the cans, still. So we're slowing down. But as time progresses, and everybody gets better with the routes, and we get better with, and citizens get better with correct placement of them, I think we're going to be very consistent on times as we move forward. So people will once again know that normally the guy gets here at 3 o'clock to pick up trash, and the recycling gets here at 4 o'clock or whatever. I think we're going to get to that consistency here before long.
I hope so. Thank you.
Charlotte?
I'm going to be the bad person here. Okay, I leave 8 o'clock. I come home say at noon, my lunch hour, and I put both my cans out. I pick up Friday, Monday, whatever it is, but only the garbage, the recycled, is not picked up, and it stays out there sometimes past noon the next day because it didn't get picked up that evening. Are you telling me that's going to get better, that those two cans are going to be picked up relatively close to one another?
Yes.
So that people going home for lunch can move their cans back in, and they don't have to worry about the one still standing out there?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know if they'll ever get, be able to hit within simultaneously, or with maybe even within the same hour or whatever. But because a lot of people on the recycling side of it, we have a lot of people that aren't recycling, currently, and then two, we have people that their recycling fills up so much slower that 1 week they put it out, and the next 2 weeks they don't, and so.
Okay.
And so it's going to kind of fluctuate a little bit on time, but it should never be the next day. And
Shane,
so we are going to.
Next request is something that I would like to see, and I'm going to ask you if you think it would help, it would work, or satisfy some people out there. I was going to ask in new items on the agenda that we possibly form a committee that you work with, a person, a resident from each district, to work with you about what they have visioned or see as a problem, or possibly some adjustments that can be made with routes. And I'll give you an example. Cans left out on the Bryant going south, even left out just a few hours, that's a hazard as fast as traffic, in my opinion, as fast as traffic is through there. I don't know, possibly there's some suggestions that could be done. Cans that are left out on Sunset. You weave around, try to get around a can. If you're traveling down Sunset, you veer over into the next lane. That's a hazard problem I think we should look at. The same on some other really, busy streets, that cans left out for a whole day till people get home from work.
Yes, ma'am.
is a problem.
Yes, ma'am.
So
And
would you
that's-
consider maybe putting or asking for some volunteers to look at things and maybe a few suggestions that we can make some alterations that would help?
Sure, and as we move along, we're going to continue to learn and continue to get better because we've seen some of those same issues. There are ways
Southwest.
that we are. There's things that we can do to address those issues right now currently, as far as placement and working with the citizens. It's just one of those things that getting time to get out and do the education and the communicating with them. It's kind of been a mad rush here all at once, and we're still getting several phone calls a day, to work through and working with people. And we're going out. Jeremy's been great. He's awesome. He goes out, visits with homeowners and people one-on-one individually at their homes. If he can't come up with a solution, he calls me, and then I'll go out there and we'll work, and we'll get Republic out there. And we've had some very interesting situations and issues within the city.
Well,
that
I had a
I wouldn't
phone
have ever
call.
would have dreamed existed, and so we are going out and finding solutions.
What came up with this is part of my district on Mercedes up there at Glenna. But Glenna, Edmond, 29th, trying to dodge trash cans all day or a day and a half, it's a problem. And I assured them that we would look at it and see safety concerns. So if it's all right with the rest of you that we do this, get Shane to work it out, because there are some areas
Yes,
that-
ma'am. We will.
Okay.
We will start pushing on that.
Charlie,
Working.
and Shane and I have talked about this as well, that we know that there's going to be some tweaking as we go along. Even with this ordinance as it passes, we know that we probably in the near future will be coming back for some amendments to make sure that we've addressed as this program goes along. Any changes that need to be made to make it easier for our citizens, that's exactly what we want to do. So I think that's a good idea. As far as having those volunteers that we can get that information from, we can definitely make that happen.
I'm very interested in making sure that we have a limited window for these cans being out in the public. Because even though they're kind of cute, they're not cute for very long. But my problem is in enforcing that, if we don't get pickup until after 6 p.m. on our day, it's really hard to tell people that they need to get that can back in, because their cans have been sitting out, again, for almost 24 hours. So I would hope that as we become more efficient in the pickup, that our expectations will become much greater in the amount of time that
they're out. Yes,
the customer has the can out and the time Republic can get it picked up.
For those people that don't know, there is a chemical out there, product. It looks like little rocks. It's called Shock Rock. I don't know if anybody's heard about it, but I know in rental properties and stuff, we would treat the dumpsters. It's a canister like a big salt shaker you put in the dumpster, and it eliminates the odors. And I use the Shock Rock in my Republic cans to eliminate the odors. So
They're odoriferous.
it's called Shock Rock. I think House of Chemicals sells it.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second? Do I have any further council discussion? Public discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on it. Item D is consider declaring 210.46 acres of land out of the AB&M Survey Number 3, Abstract Number 27, the J.C. Hillbow Survey 760, Abstract Number 360, surplus property, and disposing of said surplus property under published RFB Number RE0315 for the highest sealed bid, being $653,310, submitted by Charles Wesley McKeska. Cindy.
Good morning. The item before you today is to declare approximately 210.46 acres surplus to the city and authorize the sale of the property under RFB RE0315 for the highest sealed bid of $653,310. That bid was submitted by Charles Wesley McKiska. The city purchased the property in April of 2004. The property, along with the right to divert 284 acre feet of water from Dove Creek, were acquired for $600,000. In addition to the $600,000 sale price, the seller was allowed to lease the property for $1 a year for 4 years. That lease ended April 15, 2008, and since that time, the properties remained vacant and not generating revenue for the city. Thus, the reason staff recommends sale of this property. In February of 2015, the city acquired an appraisal of the property, and that appraisal came in at $573,000. We did place the property out for bid. Part of that bid process was that the city is only selling the property. We're retaining all the water rights to the Dove Creek. The seller will be allowed to use the wells, water from the wells for livestock and domestic purposes only.
I'd make a motion to approve.
I have a question.
Charlotte?
Why did the city buy this in 2004?
Water rights.
Water rights. I believe it was for the water rights
Just
to Dove
for-
Creek.
yeah.
And we are retaining all of those water rights.
Okay.
Okay, we are allowing them well water for their livestock and their household usage, but we are forbidding them from pulling water out of the river?
Yes, sir. The city will retain those water rights to Dove Creek. We are allowing the purchaser to use the well water for domestic and livestock purposes only. There is a perpetual restriction placed on that property when we sell it that they cannot sell any of the well water, nor can they remove the well water from the premises. So any well water pulled from that property stays on the property.
And how will we enforce this?
It's going to be a restriction on the property, so it would have to be something the city, and the attorney could probably address that more clearly, but it would be something the city would have to police and enforce.
And how would we enforce it if they begin to pumping water out of the river, or if they begin to
Oh, but-
selling well water? I mean, it's right of capture. What do we go back and evict them from the property after they pay?
Teresa's gonna go out there
How
every
do we
day.
enforce this?
You know, that situation comes up often, and typically it's one of those situations where you work with the property owner, explain what the responsibilities are and what they can and can't do. If that doesn't work, you can take some court action to enjoin them from doing that, and then ultimately it is a TCEQ permit. You can report them to the TCEQ for violating the permit, so.
I know you'll know if they do it.
Their neighbors will know.
People tell.
Their neighbors will know.
We get
I
the
just
calls
know
all the
that-
time.
I just know that we bought this property with the explicit purpose of retaining the water rights for our city and our citizens. And now we're selling the property.
But we're
No, we're retaining the
Yes,
rights.
I know we are retaining the rights on paper, but there's a lot of difference in retaining the rights on paper and retaining rights. I mean, that's what I'm asking. There's no way to enforce this.
Yeah,
We can
yes,
go out
sir.
and ask them not to do it. We
No,
can't
there's-
take it back.
There's
Can we
ways-
fine them?
And I think Ricky has gone out and viewed the property and did not find any pumps or anything in the Dove Creek now, where it indicated someone was pumping water from Dove Creek, and Ricky could speak to that. But the purchaser is well aware of the city's reservation and the fact that the property is being sold strictly for domestic and livestock use from the wells, that they have no right to Dove Creek.
How does
And TCEQ enforces that, and that's who would assign a fine to it if they were found. And believe me, Ricky knows this. People get reported to TCEQ all the time for using extra
Somebody's
water.
always turning us in.
Yes.
So I don't think
So,
it's any different.
and when they sell property nowadays, I mean, majority of the big properties I sell on, like Dove Creek, on bodies of water, the original people keep the rights to those nowadays because that's almost worth more than what the land is worth.
Property owner has rights to water on the property or in the river for domestic and livestock. That's
domestic
rights.
livestock, he can't put in a dairy farm and have
No.
hundreds of
It's a commercial.
heads of cattle or livestock or, that would affect the quality of the water, is what I'm trying to say.
Ricky, I think the question the mayor's asking, is there a surefire way that we'll know if somebody's using it for any other means? I mean, other than
not
others
without
reporting?
somebody going out there.
In the state of Texas, we have right of capture. If that water's under your property, it's yours. And so we're saying, yes, you have the right of capture the state law gives you, but yet we're telling you can't use it, you can't sell it, you can only have, we've got two different, that's two different things that's butting heads here.
Well, there was additional water rights with that property from the original property owner. That was 284 acre feet of ability to divert water from Dove Creek. That's not normal property rights issues. So this diversion we're keeping. The only way to check it, to find out for sure, is if somebody goes out there. You're
And
right.
Mayor, I can see what you're saying about the enforcement of.
There's no way to enforce it. We're just, here's the rules, here it is on paper, please obey.
Unless we keep a little piece of property and put a tool shed and put Ricky's office out there, no, there's no way.
Done.
There's no way to enforce it.
Ricky, what role does the water master play in that type of event where we suspect someone's pumping out of the river?
They go check.
So there is a mechanism in
There
place
is.
to.
TCEQ Water Master checks all diversions.
And your neighbor will report you because you're stealing his water.
Well, it belongs, 280-something belong to the city of San Angelo, our citizens. That's the ones I'm concerned about. I'm not going to support it, but there may be 6 others that will.
We've already
I
had a
do have a
motion and a
motion that
second.
we accepted. Did I have a second?
I second.
You seconded, okay, it's on the floor, so we'll know. Any further comment from council? Do I have public comment on this item? Call for the vote. The vote is that we accept the $653,310 for 210.46 acres with restrictions against no pull out of the river, livestock and domestic use only, and no sale well water.
Correct.
Got to be used on the property.
They will only use the water for domestic and livestock. That's the well water. They're not able to pull from the river.
Period.
At all.
Right. They only have rights to the groundwater, which is the well water for domestic and livestock purposes. They don't have rights to the
And
the
we're
river.
selling it just because we want to sell it? Is there a purpose for the money? Is there something we're going to do with it, or we just put it in the?
It'll go back in the water fund, and it was y'all's decision to sell it. So that's why we're selling it.
Calling for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Put a 5-2 on that one. Let's move on now to number E. Item E, first public hearing. Consider introducing an ordinance amending Chapter 10 Traffic Control, Article 1003, Operation of Motor Vehicles, Division 4, Specific Street Regulations, Section 1003.091, One-Way Streets and Alleys, by adding a new subpart 44 to subsection B, which would include South Harrison Street north to south between Sherwood Way and Colorado Avenue, providing for severability and providing an effective date. Mr. Pale.
How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir.
Good morning, Council and Mayor. Yes, we are proposing to change Harrison Street to a one-way street. Currently, the section that we're looking at is between Beauregard and Colorado Avenue. This is currently a two-way street and is near the big intersection of Beauregard and Sherwood Way, where this big split is. So there's a lot of activity in this area. This is more in response to Walmart moving in to the north. Walmart did a traffic analysis on this existing intersection and based it on their proposed impact for the Walmart in the new area. So, or it's in response to that. So basically what we're trying to do is eliminate the number of traffic movements in this area to make this intersection much more safe with the new Walmart coming in that area. Basically we're going to be taking it from two-way to one-way into the south. That's the arrow shows here in yellow. All the improvements made to make this happen will be incurred by the developer and will be installed according to city standards and specifications. Previously, Carl Bednars had been working with Walmart on this, and he had spoken with the owners in the area, and they were both in support at the time for changing this to one way. And two, just to kind of give you an example, this intersection should, when Walmart comes in, it'll basically make it a five-way intersection, much like the intersection of College Hills and Avenue N, where we recently changed that, that smaller leg to a one-way as well, to just eliminate the traffic hazards with a five-way intersection.
It's 2 blocks?
This is just one block.
One block.
One block between Colorado and Beauregard. And that's my presentation.
This is in your area,
Yes,
isn't it,
sir.
Elizabeth?
And I would be very happy to make a motion to approve. I think it will definitely decrease conflict points at that, so I think we need to move forward.
Correct.
Do I have a second from Rodney?
Yeah.
Well, when we did this at HEB, I thought it was a bad idea, but obviously it's working well, so
Yeah.
I guess this will work well too, you think?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It
Do have a,
works really well. My office is like 4
Yeah.
ounces down from the last one we did, and that was
Yeah.
a big deal. It's really.
yeah, I was opposed to that, but I was wrong.
Sometimes
You're-
engineers know what they're
you're
doing.
ignorant.
Right.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Can you say that one more
I
time?
thought I was wrong, but I was mistaken.
I have a question.
John?
If I'm traveling west, right at that intersection, right in front of the new Walmart, why is there a stoplight there that it never, and I'm talking about the one that heads to Sherwood Way. It's always green, so why is it even there?
No, it's not always
No, it's
green.
not.
No,
I have never seen it red.
No,
Now, I'm going west.
It
I'm
is
going west.
No.
more predominantly green, correct, but it is mainly because of the amount of traffic going in that direction to continue that flow, and there's fewer movements right there right now as it is. You know, once they bring in the Walmart, the main entrance is going to be right at that intersection, so, you know,
I have never seen it.
You're
in
lucky.
here.
And that'll
it-
change.
It changes.
Well, that light on 29th by the other Walmart, that thing only changes 6 times a week, but it's not. Do have a motion to accept this as presented. Do I have any public comment on this before we move on? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one, please, Brian.
And Mayor, I think it's important, Russell, they had spoken to the adjacent property owners, so they were in agreement.
I see that it will work. I think it would be for better traffic control. So
And we love that Walmart is paying for it.
that's
Yes,
the way it's
that's
supposed
the
to
the
be.
big
best
thing.
part.
Right. Okay.
Item F is second public hearing and consideration of a service plan and adopting an ordinance annexing to San Angelo city limits of certain properties, 5.850 acre tract located south of Loop 306 and east of Knickerbocker Road. Ms. Gary, you are on, ma'am.
Give me 1 second, unless my files decide to fall. There we are. So good afternoon, Mayor. Rebecca Guerra, Planning
Evening.
Manager, rest of council, I
11:55.
appreciate it. So this is the 5th of 5 public hearings for the Bentwood annexation as required per the Texas Local Government Code. This is the 2nd public hearing for the reading of the ordinance. So with this, if this is approved, then the property will be annexed, brought into the city, and will have a zoning designation of ranch and estate. So that being said, let's go through the legalities. It's about 5.8 acres. It's located south of Loop 306, east of Knickerbocker Road. It is in the ETJ, but if annexed, will likely be put into single-member District Number 1. Future land use of this site is neighborhood, and you can anticipate the future development of this site to be single-family detached, stormwater management, or right-of-way. As I said, it is in the ETJ, so it has no zoning, but if brought into the city, will be ranch and estate. This is the approved annexation plan. It is deemed as intermediate and is well within that time period. This is a copy of the major thoroughfare plan. All of these maps are located also in your staff reports. This is a copy of the utilities map. Notifications were sent out. As of today, we have no responses for or against. So the action requested is to approve on second reading the ordinance for the Bentwood annexation with the associated service plan. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Is this just a public hearing, or you need
No,
a
we're
vote?
voting.
You need a vote to approve
Yes,
these.
sir.
This is the second reading.
Move
Rodney.
to approve as
Second.
presented.
Take Rodney's motion. I will accept the second from Charlotte. Is
Mayor,
there any
we
other?
also need a second public hearing on this matter. So we need a public hearing as well as a vote.
So this is the second public hearing, and I will call for public comment. And the motion has been made to accept it. It has been seconded. Council discussion further? Do I have public comment? This is a public hearing. This is your opportunity, for or against. There is no public hearing or no public comment in regards to the public
Yes,
hearing.
sir.
Motion has been made. I will call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one, buddy. Item number G is first public hearing and consideration of introducing an ordinance amending Chapter 12, Exhibit A, zoning ordinance of the Code of Ordinances, City of San Angelo, Z 1505, Colin R. Henry, An ordinance amending Chapter 12, Exhibit A of the Code of Ordinances, City of San Angelo, Texas, by changing the zoning and classification of the property identified as 517 and 519 West 19th and an unaddressed tract located approximately 315 feet west of the intersection of North Bryant Boulevard and West 19th from single-family residential RS1 to neighborhood commercial CN. Do you want to take G and H together or one at a time, Rebecca?
Mr. Mayor, City Council, if I may ask your indulgence, if you would read the second caption for the special use, that way I can do both presentations and you can make one motion repeated by the second for both items.
All right, let's move on then to H, which is the first public hearing and consider introducing of an ordinance amending Chapter 12, Exhibit A, zoning ordinance for the Code of Ordinances, City of San Angelo, SU 15-01. Colin R. Henry. An ordinance amending Chapter 12, Exhibit A of the Code of Ordinances, City of San Angelo, Texas, by changing the zoning and classification of the property identified as 517 and 519 West 19th Street and an unaddressed tract located approximately 315 feet west of the intersection of North Bryant Boulevard and West 19th Street for approval of a special use to allow for an auto and boat dealer.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So, the first item is a rezoning. It's 1505. It's about 6.65 acres. It is located on the southeast corner of the intersection of Hudson Street and West 19th Street. It is in single-member district number 4, and it is located in the Blackshear neighborhood. It's outlined in those red lines before you. You can see that adjacent to this site is an existing boat and auto dealer. So this is an expansion of an existing boat and auto dealer whose adjacent site in 2007 received a rezoning to neighborhood commercial in much the same way that this project is doing today, and received a special use in order to allow for the sales of auto and boat to be done on this site. So this is pretty much an extension of an existing use and a extension, if you will, of a rezoning and a special use that was done in 2007. So just to give you a little bit of background. The future land use of this site is transitional. So what does that mean? That is, adjacent to this site, there is single-family detached residential. And so typically what the comprehensive plan does is in these areas that are transitional between single-family detached or residential and heavier commercial, they create this future land use designation to allow for less intense development to occur between these two uses. So this future land use site is transitional, and so what the property owner is requesting is a rezoning to neighborhood commercial, which is not as intense as general commercial, but is a little bit more intense than office warehouse or office. So the recommendation of staff is a rezoning from the RS1, that is the residential, single-family residential zoning district, to neighborhood commercial district. And the rationale, which is before you, and it's also in your staff report, is that it's consistent with the future land use designation of transitional. And it's consistent with past approvals in 2007 for this site, a portion of this site. Some change conditions. The future land use change from medium-high density to transitional, and this rezoning would be consistent with that change. 15 notifications were sent out within the 200-foot radius. 1 response was received in favor. A copy of that response has been provided in your staff reports. So the action requested is to approve a rezoning from the RS1 zoning district to the neighborhood commercial district. Let me move on quickly to the special use, and then I will go back to this slide and then the next slide in order for you to make your motion and your decision. So the special use 1501 is for the same piece of property. This is much a repeat. This is the site concept plan that was associated with the special use. As you can see, the part highlighted in yellow is the building that they are proposing to do for basically some very minor detailing of these vehicles, whether they be the boats or the cars. There are conditions of approval that are associated with this, which for the most part, about 80% of these conditions, if not 90, are a complete repeat of what was imposed in 2007 when the special use was approved by this council. Our recommendation is to approve the special use for an auto and boat dealer subject to those 13 conditions of approval. Again, the proposed use, the special use, is consistent with what was approved in 2007. We believe it to also be consistent with this transitional use. There will be little or no retail traffic anticipated for this property. As I said, the building that they're proposing to do will be for detailing of these automobiles and for these boats. 15 notifications were sent out within a 200-foot radius, and again, we received one response in favor. The action requested is to approve the special use to allow for an auto and boat dealer in the neighborhood commercial zoning district should the rezoning be approved. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Lucy, I'm going to ask you to make the motion in a little bit, but first, Charlotte has a question.
Okay. Okay, this is right next door to the business, the Auto Wrangler, and then the Stripe stores in front of, because I
Yes, ma'am.
remember in 2007, when this business went in, the Auto Wrangler, is this the same owner that's wanting to do the boat and whatnot?
Yes,
The same
ma'am.
owner? Okay, my problem, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I remember it, we approved the zoning and stuff because he assured us it was retail business only, and that's what would cut down because of the narrow residential streets around. We requested the fencing and whatnot, and didn't have enough turn-in for retail business, and he assured us that it was wholesale only. He now does retail, and he advertises retail. So how does that work when it was approved wholesale only because of traffic issues? Just go out the window, we don't have the same concerns that we did then?
In the neighborhood commercial zoning district, as well as in the CH zoning district, which he has facing on Bryant, all of those uses are permitted uses today. We cannot do exclusionary zoning, so we can't limit one type within this straight zoning, what I call straight zoning designation on this property. So if a use is permitted in our use table under that particular zoning category, he has the ability to do that. And that is a permitted use without a special use attached to it.
But you're asking us to change.
The corner piece, which is zoned RS1, in this case, so the corner piece that's
now he's
located on
expanding
Hudson.
his business, is what you're saying.
So in this particular use, well, right now, he is proposing to do detailing for the site. You are correct. He will be able to do, if he intends to sell it off, he could do retail. But the level of commercial which would be allowed, should you wish to approve this rezoning, would be limited to neighborhood commercial. No heavy commercial would be allowed. None of those uses would be allowed. And since the future land use is transitional, neighborhood commercial is, we believe, the most appropriate zoning designation, which would be consistent with the future land use of transitional.
Okay, let me just tell you my concern, 19th Street.
Yes, ma'am.
The amount of traffic, the size of the street, not being able to accommodate, heavy trailers for boats and traffic, pulling in and out. Where's that traffic going to ingress and egress from on that piece of property?
The applicant is proposing to do some internal movement, but because this is a separately platted lot, he has the right to request curb cuts coming in from 19th Street should he wish to do so. And that will be ultimately approved by a different department. So he has the ability to do so. Right now, he's only proposing to do internal movement. But again, I can't control today not asking for a curb cut. He has the right to ask for it. He even has the right to ask for it off Hudson. Those are different types of studies that are done in the future for it. But even if this property weren't rezoned, he could still ask for those curb cuts to come in, but they would be limited to the residential he's allowed today.
Well, let me ask Mr. Fleming, in his opinion, is it suitable for the city to ask him to make some improvements to the streets there at 19th where he's going to be having these trailers and
You can't do that
No,
on
I don't
zoning.
think so.
Okay. I'm
And
just
he's
asking.
only, on his conceptual drawing, he's only asked for one curb cut, or his plan is for one curb cut over there on that one side on 19th Street, which I believe that Stripes on that 19th Street has at least 2 or 3
Yes.
curb cuts on that side right
They
there.
do.
This is directly behind the Stripes.
I drove it
So,
this weekend, so.
Yes, I drove by there also.
Yeah, and I did.
In fairness, he is putting up a fence around it, but
He's
I would be
required
remiss
to.
not to tell you that in the future, should he sell it, that fence could come down, and they could, in theory, ask for another curb cut to come off of 19th.
But doesn't there have to be a fence between the neighboring residential?
There is no adjacent residential. It's only across the street.
The street,
What is behind him on Hudson?
The street? The right-of-way?
The right-of-way?
Yes, ma'am.
Hudson and 19.
So according to the special use, should this particular special use wish to continue, that is, he sells it off and they want to continue an auto boat dealer, the fence has to stay up. Because if you approve the special use, that special use requires that fence to be up. Should he wish for a less intense use, which is not associated with the special use, he could in theory bring that fence down and ask for a curb cut.
So the special use is the only way to get the fence?
Exactly.
Well, I think, Rebecca, I don't know if you would agree, but I wouldn't say that a boat dealership is neighborhood commercial use, because I'm not really sure how much interest the neighborhood is going to have in a boat dealership. To me, neighborhood commercial is something that actually serves the neighborhood, the adjacent neighborhood. So I agree that this is transitional. I also agree this is one of those areas probably all along Bryant that when we can prioritize some rezoning work, that this needs to be done to protect a neighborhood that we've helped revitalize, as well as help grow some investment in, commercial business. I don't think a boat dealership is neighborhood commercial, but I would probably support it in order to have the fence and protect the adjacent neighborhood.
Staff would agree with you, which is why we didn't recommend general commercial. We felt that was too intense for the site, and it wouldn't allow us to put conditions of approval to protect the very neighborhoods you're talking about. So we thought that this was the best fit, given the transitional and given the special use could attach the very same conditions which this council put in 2007.
All in favor?
Okay,
Motion to approve with
All in
Lucy
favor.
and Marty has seconded it.
All in favor?
No.
Is there any other
Public comment?
Any other comment from the council?
No.
Public.
Have you had, I see no opposition. I've had no opposition. Have you had any opposition, Lucy?
No,
I've
sir.
not heard a word of opposition. And this is the first reading, so if there is opposition, there'll be a
Yeah.
second reading. But I have heard absolutely no opposition to this. Looks to me like it's good for the area. I do have a motion to approve as presented in a second. Do I have public comment on this? Calling for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Put a 6-1 on that one, please. And that, okay, this is G and H with the special use. Was that your motion, Lucy?
Yeah,
Both of them, G and
I
H?
think
Yes,
it's
they
more
were both.
appropriate to have two separate
Exactly.
motions. and two
Okay, so
separate
this,
approvals.
we have approved G. Will you make a motion to approve H?
Yes, sir, I move to
which is a
approve.
special use?
And I'll second.
And you'll second that, Marty?
Yes, sir.
Comments, public?
So here's the action requested for the zoning.
CN from RS1.
Yep.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Put a 6-1 on that one as
Any
well.
public comment on that one?
I asked for public comment.
On the second one?
You did.
Public?
Okay.
I thought it
You
did.
asked for it. And you did.
You're confusing me, Silvus. Item I is first public hearing and consider introducing an ordinance amending Chapter 8 Offices and Nuisances, Chapter 8, Section 81005 Noises Prohibited of the City Code of Ordinances. This is mine, and this,
How
yes,
long,
ma'am.
Yeah, I'll
how
speak
long
to
is
this.
this one going to take? Because it's 12:10.
We do have to be out of here by 12:25 because there's a conference call at 12:30, correct?
I will be brief. Yes, there is a conference call at 12:30.
Go.
This is the ordinance amendment we discussed at the last
Yes.
meeting, creating the exception for school activities. It'll apply from the hours of 6:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. for any school or university-sponsored activities that take place on school, university, or city-owned property.
Perfect.
Move to approve?
Second?
We have a motion to approve.
This
I
is the
do have a
first reading,
second.
so we do need a public hearing on this.
We will have a public hearing. Do I have any further council comment on this item? Do I have public comment on this item? The motion has been made that we accept it as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one. Item number,
Who was the second on that? Sorry.
Marty?
Uh,
Was it Marty or Johnny?
I second it.
Johnny. Item number J is discussion and consideration of matters related to the fiscal year 2015-2016 operated budget, including number one, first public hearing of a proposed property tax levy for the city of San Angelo for the 2015 tax year. Number two is an ordinance of the city of San Angelo approving and adopting the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2015 and ending September 30, 2016, authorizing employee compensation schedules, providing for the general appropriation of funds, reserving under the city council the authority to transfer appropriations budgeted, ratifying transfers of appropriations occurring in the 2015-2016 fiscal year, and amending that budget ordinances accordingly. providing for lapse of all unencumbered and unobligated funds for the prior fiscal year and for carryover of all appropriations of encumbered, obligated, or restricted funds, reserving under the City Council the power only as permitted by law to amend and make changes in the budget for municipal purposes, providing authority for the city manager or his designee to make certain adjustments from time to time in or between budgeted allocations, authorizing the city manager or his designee to apply for certain grants and execute any related documents, and providing for the filing of the budget. This budget will raise more property taxes than last year's budget by $2,865,004, 9.7% increase. And of that amount, $653,257 is tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the tax roll this year. And number 3, to conduct a separate record vote to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the budget and place the adoption of this tax rate on the agenda for the September 1, 2015 regular meeting of the City Council as an action item. Morgan Chegwedden.
Move to approve.
I would recommend we take them one by one. There are separate public hearings required and record votes required for each.
Which one you want to start with then, Charlotte?
A.
Do I have a motion
There's
to
actually not
approve?
action required for that, simply public hearing.
Okay, number A.
Aye.
Number 1.
Aye.
You got A there.
Sorry.
Yeah, 1.
Brian,
First
one.
public hearing, so we need a,
First public hearing that there is a property
so I
tax
need to call for
levy.
public comment on the public hearing. Is there any public comment on the public hearing section of the budget proposal? None. We have satisfied that obligation.
This next one, we would request action for introduction and public hearing of the ordinance, the budget ordinance.
This is item number 2 under J. Is that what your motion is
Yes.
for? And I have a second under
B2,
this.
whatever you want to call it.
Do we have a motion to approve as presented? Do we
I
have
have
a
a-
second?
I've got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you, and I left the last meeting, but can you explain how we're handling the salary number?
We have budgeted an amount for salaries, and we are still working with human resources staff to develop what exact parameters. I believe clear direction was given by the council last meeting that an amount should be given for meets and move the ranges by that amount, and then an additional amount for anybody who exceeds their expectations this year. So to address merit and to also address the council goal of moving the ranges. So the exact percentages of what those values will be worth is, we're still working through that, but the value of that amount is included in the budget for each fund.
Is that amount adequate to keep on track to stay within the pay ranges so that we're not falling behind?
We'll have to review. When we look at human resources and working with Lisa Marley, our goal is to make sure that the impact that we make to that is to make sure that we move forward as much as we possibly can on that range. I know we had fallen behind, and our goal was to get to 95% within 3 to 4 years, and that's what we're going to be working toward. We do want to make sure that we address the meets and exceeds portion of it, but we also want to make sure that we move forward as much as we possibly can, and that's what we're looking at right now. What strategy will we use moving forward, using the monies that will be allocated, and yet move us as much as we possibly can toward that 95%?
I'm not so interested in what we can.
Mhm.
I'm interested in if we're staying within the ranges. In other words, do we really need 500,000 more to do that, or is that number adequate to stay within the ranges and still provide
We're moving in that
exceeds?
direction.
We're moving in that direction. It's
But when we move and we fall behind, we really never get there
If we were,
with inflation.
the challenge associated with keeping up, if we allocated across the board, this amount would probably be about right. If we create a large spread between meets and exceeds, the way you do that is raise exceeds a little bit, lower meets a little bit. You move the ranges for the amount you move, for the amount you grant for meets. And so that is less than an across-the-board raise would be, and that is ground that you don't capture as you're trying to keep up with other cities. And so I think our plan is to bring some options to council so that you can judge for yourself whether the value of differentiating between meets and exceeds versus an across-the-board raise. So
Across the board would be more appropriate to get us quickly to that goal of 95%. If we said 5.5% across the board, that would move us more quickly to that 95% in the 3 to 4 year range. The issue with delineating, and you start looking at meets and exceeds and how we break that down, makes it just a little bit more complicated. What you need to do is take a look at it and say, okay, these are the options that we're exploring. This option A will move us a little bit closer or more quickly to meeting the 95 percentile. Option B will not, but it will give more to those that exceed, and so forth. We just need to look at all those options. Again, Liz, when you look at it, if we were to say we're going to do a 5.5% across the board, the way we've done previous years, that would have gotten us close to that 95% a little bit quicker.
And what would that number be?
This
What is-
number.
That's 5.5?
That's the
right there?
equivalent to 5.5% across the board.
I just want to make sure I understand that I don't want to do anything that does not keep us on track to hit 95%, because with inflation, the 95% is going to continue to move away from us if we're not closing that gap.
That's our concern as well, absolutely. And that's why when we come up with a plan that would, as the council has directed us to take a look at how we would reward those that are at the exceeds level, we want to make sure that we come up with a plan that still does that, but gets us further along on meeting that goal as well, the 95%.
I'll trust your numbers.
We may not be able
Thank
to
you.
pull it off as far as, when we do the comparison, you may decide, well, 5.5% across the board would be a better way to do it, because with the options that you're presenting to us, it's going to take us a little bit longer to get there, but we'll present that to you and see what y'all think.
Okay, thank you.
Further council discussion? Public comment? Motion has been made. Do we accept as presented? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That is a 7-0 vote. Now let's slip over to number 3. Number 3, the separate record vote to ratify the property tax, 77.9.
The tax rate is staying the same at 77.6 cents per $100 valuation. However, since revenue is increasing, best practices would be to ratify that there is a property tax revenue increase.
Okay.
You change that slide.
Charlotte, you got a second?
Change that slide.
Second.
Do have a motion. I do have a second. Council comment? Public comment? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Put a 7-0 on that one. Brian, what's our time look like?
12:20.
We need to
Usually
have
our call comes in at 12:25?
At 12:30.
12:30?
Time to go to the bathroom and then.
Yeah, I guess it's time. Let's take off. Let me read the executive closed session. Executive session under the provision of Government Code Title 5, Open Government's Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government, Chapter 551, Open Meetings, Subchapter D, Exceptions to Requirement that meetings be open under the following sections. Section 5510711A, to consult with attorney when the governmental body seeks the advice of its attorney about pending or contemplated litigation regarding Martin for Hirschfield Energy Systems, LLC, ETAL. 12:20. We are now in executive session. Started, 103. Item K, first public hearing, consider introducing an ordinance amending the 214-215 budget for new projects and grants. Ms. Jake-Witten?
Good afternoon. I have some routine items. This will be our last amendment to the fiscal year 15 budget ordinance. I'll hit these items quickly, and certainly grab me if you need me to stop. The first item there is related to the charter election. We're going to have expenses this fiscal year 15 related to the November election, and so this is to take general fund balance to fund $30,000 for the charter election scheduled for November. The next item there is, as approved earlier today, the Public Safety Communications audio recording system. A $40,000 reimbursement is going to occur, or is scheduled to occur, from the Concho Valley Council of Governments, and the remaining $192,940 as approved earlier today. That balance will come from general fund balance. Facilities, maintenance, and repairs. We're scheduling sales tax to exceed budget, and so we're anticipating that $600,000 in revenue could be increased and still leave the majority of that surplus intact, the remainder of that surplus intact. So expenses of $718,620. That difference of $118,000 is coming from different bond funds, fund balances, just as eligible by the bond covenants for different facilities maintenance items, roofs repairs, weather repairs, ACs. The next item there is related to the WIC grant. They received a mid-year allocation from the Department of State Health Services of $36,122 to continue programming, and that's a time-sensitive item. They've got to get that money spent within their program year. The next item there is related to an ATMOS grant for additional utility assistance, $28,000 in revenue and expense directly to programming. The next item there is utilizing the equipment replacement fund balance, $117,000 in change for equipment replacement and acquisition, and that is due to surplus auction proceeds in prior years. That's added up a little bit. We want to capture that and reinvest it in the program. The last item there is related to the dog park, as discussed July 21st, that there's $68,000 in citizen donations and pledges, and there's $12,000 to be scheduled from the Type B sales tax. So for a total budget amendment of $1,202,000.
I need some help.
Move approval.
Second.
Marty? Charlotte? Any discussion on this?
I don't want any public funds going into the dog park.
I didn't either, but that battle's already been fought and we lost.
If I vote another way, I want you to understand.
Okay. Public comment?
Would you rather me break that one out? Okay. I move approval. I'll amend it. I move approval for all items with the exception of the dog park. Can I do that?
With all except for the $12,000 of sales tax for the dog park? Would it be amenable to budget the $68,000 of
they've
citizen
raised?
pledges and donations?
Sure.
Instead of the 80?
Sure.
So your
Didn't we already approve
motion would
It's
be
already been
as
approved.
presented, with the exception that this 80,000 be changed to 68,000 and not include the COSA DC money.
But we already approved the COSA.
No, to simplify things, I move we approve all the amendments to the budget with the exception of the dog park, and we'll let the dog park stand on its own to the amendment. I know we've approved it, but.
How about your second, Charlotte? Is it still good?
I did,
You need me?
Yes. Motion has been made. It has been seconded. Public comment on this? We're voting on everything but the dog park. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 6-0 on. Okay, Marty. Do you
I
want-
move to approve the dog park again.
second.
Do I have a motion to approve dog park? Do I have a second? Any council comment?
My comment on this is we've already approved this, and I don't think I should even have to be making this. We're talking about moving the money that we've already approved.
Exactly, and COSA DC has approved the funds, so it's not money's coming from the general fund.
And I voted against it the first time, but we were outvoted, and it was voted that we approve it. I have no authority to change it now. Public comment? All in favor of accepting the motion is made, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Put a 5-1 on that one. All righty, let's move on now to L, which is consideration of awarding proposal WU0415 for the 215 Water Treatment Plant Improvements Project to Red River Construction Company of Wiley, Texas, in the amount of $2,685,250, authorizing staff to negotiate a contract and authorizing the city manager or city manager's designee to execute said contract and any related documents. Mr. Riley.
This is a project to replace some piping and valves at the water treatment plant that are in bad need of repair. The project will have a substantially positive impact on the water that we're losing through that plant.
So that means it will be better when we get ready to reuse it.
It will be.
Okay.
There'll be
Help
more
me.
of it.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay. I won't have, anybody gonna second it?
Second.
I'll second.
I'll take Rodney's. I got it first. Motion to approve awarding the bid for water, and these are budgeted items that we.
They are, yes, sir.
So it's just part of our maintenance and keeping our plant up and running.
That's correct.
Public comment? Further council comment? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 6-0 on that one, please, sir. Number M is consider adopting the following resolution. A resolution of the City Council of the City of San Angelo, Texas, ordering a special election to be held in said city on the 3rd day of November 2015 for the purpose of submitting to the qualified voters of the City of San Angelo, Texas, the adoption or rejection of certain propositions, each providing for amendment to the Home Rule Charter of the City of San Angelo, making provision for the conduct of that election and other provisions incident and related to the purpose of this resolution, and providing an effective date. And I suppose that Spanish says the same thing I just said in English.
Will you please
And
read
number-
that in Spanish?
I can tell you it says
Una resolución.
Una resolución de Consente Municipal de la Ciudad de San
Yeah, all kinds of
Angelo.
help.
Okay,
Texas.
and
That's all
let's
I
get
know.
number 2 as well. You want both of them? Number 2 is a resolution authorizing city manager to execute an interlocal agreement for joint election, providing for holding of a joint election to be administered by the Tom Green County Election Administration. Brian, did you have anything you needed to add?
The only reason this was not on consent as it normally would be is because we were waiting for the Commissioners Court to finalize the polling locations. They have done that. They are as stated in the resolution, so there's no changes to make.
Okay, need some help.
Move to approve as presented.
I'll take
second it.
I'll just take Charlotte since they both moved at the same time. All righty, that's number M, that we accept the special election in November. All in favor? Public comment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 6-0 on that one. N is consider disbanding the Charter Review Committee from further responsibilities related to the 2015 charter election. And this obviously is just housekeeping because
Yes,
we
sir.
no longer need them.
That's exactly right.
Somebody help me.
Move to approve.
Charlotte, I'll just give you the second, Lucy.
Thank you.
Comment. Public
I'd li-
comment.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
I just want to thank all of the Charter Review Committee for all the hours that they donated to this process. It was an excellent review. I think they did a really good job.
They spent a lot of time with it, didn't they? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Put a 6-0 on that one. Number 8, follow-up. Consideration and possible action on matters discussed in executive closed session if needed. Is there anything, boss?
Nothing there.
Nothing to report from executive. B is announcements and consideration of future agenda items. Start with you, Ms. Grindstaff.
None, Mayor.
Lucy?
None, sir.
Charlotte?
I just want to announce to the folks that called me about the weeds and trash from Manchester. It has been turned in. It is on the list. Staff's getting to it as quickly as possible. That's mowing in that area. So I want to let the person know, because I've lost his phone number, that it's being taken care of.
Marty?
None.
Rodney?
None.
Let's have a motion.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
What's the time, Brian?
1:12.
All right, we're through.
We're out of here.
That was a good 12 minutes.